Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz test postmortem. This is a postmortem of my Blitz game number 335. I kicked off with e4 here, and my opponent played e6. And so I think we're going into the French defense, and I play d4, and he plays a very rare move, c6. So I was thinking, let's see, d5 of course is a normal move. The move I was thinking of when I talked about the Lengfellner system, which I mispronounced, was d6. Yeah, e6 and d6 is known as the Lengfellner system. But c6 has a different idea, and you see it after I play c4, which is sort of a natural move here. I could play more conservatively with just developing a knight, I suppose, but it seems like if you get a chance to get 3 pawns in the center like that, it's pretty good. And it's better with the c pawn than the f pawn because you're not creating any weaknesses towards your king here. So it's just a very natural move. But he can reply with d5. And now after knight c3, which is the top choice here, I've transposed unintentionally into the Martial gambit. So this is the Martial gambit in the Semi-slav, not to be confused with the Martial gambit in the Ruy Lopez. And you might not think it's a gambit, but the way it works is takes, knight takes, and then this bishop check. And then the most convenient way to defend the, I guess you can still play knight c3 and decline the gambit. The most convenient way to defend is with this move, bishop d2, and then the queen can grab the pawn here, and leaving the bishop hanging but attacking your knight. So it goes bishop takes bishop, queen takes knight, and then bishop to e2, blocking the check. And the game continues from here. It's if you give the engine some time to think about it, it's not so fond of this move, queen takes g2. That's the first move it thinks of, just grabbing more material. But this can lead to some trouble. Bishop f3, so white is 2 pawns down at this point, but the queen is going to run a little short of squares, and white gets really excellent play for those 2 pawns. And you'll see the engine thinks it's at least adequate compensation. So anyway, kind of a crazy gambit. The most common move after bishop e2 is to just develop with knight a6, kicking the bishop. And bishop goes to a5, and then f6, I guess with the idea of playing e4 and just developing the knight. And the game can continue from here. You're down a pawn, but you have good development. So it's a playable gambit. The other way to play this is after bishop takes b4 check, it looks like you can just bring the knight back to c3. If you don't want to play a gambit. If you're not too familiar with that line, maybe it's a good thing to avoid it. Anyway, my opponent didn't choose to, he sort of tricked me into going into this line that I'm not familiar with, but then he didn't choose to play the most exciting way. He just played knight e7. And so we're out of the opening book here, but it seemed it would be fine to me to just close the center off with the move e5. The engine is saying bishop d3, continuing to develop, is a good way to play here too. But this keeps an edge for white. So he's developing his knight to g6, and I come out with knight to f3, bishop e7. So we get a position where I keep a pretty good edge. This is a bigger than usual opening advantage, and just by normal developing moves, so it wasn't particularly difficult to play. So. And then right here, the engine likes the move h4. Likes c5 maybe. Oh, there, it likes h4. Yeah, at this point I was tempted to say, well, look, he's already castled the queen side. I guess this is one point of the video. Things to look for when you're ready to launch a kingside attack. One point is that the center is closed, so it's not so easy for your opponent to get counterplay. The other thing is he's already castled, so you know he's given you the address of his king, as it were. You know where to attack, and his knight is somewhat awkwardly placed on g6 there, where it can be harassed with the pawn. So those are the factors that sort of encourage you to launch a kingside attack. So I lash out with h4 right away. Now you might think at first, is this losing a pawn? Yeah, it's this move here, queen to h5. So black has defended the knight for the moment, but this queen attack is threatening mate, and it's threatening to win the knight. So this is just losing material. So that that pawn is safe, even though it's got 3 attackers and only 2 defenders. It's safe because the exchanges open up lines, and the attack on h7 is too strong. So we can't take that pawn. I actually didn't calculate that in the game. I got a little bit lucky. So rook e8. But that's the kind of thing you can calculate, that pushing this h-pawn is likely, even if he grabs it, it's likely to be to your benefit because it's opening up lines towards his king. So I mean, that's the kind of thing you can play kind of intuitively, even if you don't have time to calculate it. But also that sequence was probably short enough. I should have calculated it. Anyway, I push on with h5. That's the main idea, and his knight runs away. And now you see my advantage is really increasing here. I play b3 for the moment. I didn't want to have to be distracted by him taking the c-pawn at the wrong time, but the engine is suggesting the move king f1, a very funny move, or h6, just going on with the attack. So b3 is probably not the most precise move, but still keeps pretty good advantage here. Knight b d7 he plays, and now h6 is definitely being called for here. Okay, so I didn't play h6 at the right time. It's a move you want to play when the iron is hot. Let's take a look at it right here. So h6, he's going to play g6. I guess taking is pretty bad because it'll open up this line to his king. So although he could think about playing something like knight g6, just covering things. I guess the h-file being open is going to be dangerous. But with the idea of I guess there's no place for his pieces too. Where's this bishop going? I want to be able to get the queen in. Bishop to d2. King takes g7. I'm not going to play king takes g7. Maybe get the knight out of the way so I can get the queen up here, and then knight g5. And I guess I'm crashing through on h7, and there's no way to defend it. Okay, so not so easy to defend. After h6, the engine is saying g6. And then king f1 again. Let's see what this king f1 move is about. Okay, it changed its mind. That's a very strange move, king f1. Then bishop to c2. Okay, I don't quite understand that. Either are castles. Castles, bishop c2, bishop b1. Yeah, it seems like the engine does not have a clear attacking plan here. It's just going to sit here with this pawn and maybe slowly regroup its pieces. And there are, of course, a bunch of weaknesses around the king, so there's certainly a good position for white, but no immediate attack. Okay, so I held off on that move. I played bishop c2 with the idea of queen d3 and checkmate there if I can distract the knight. He played g6 here. This kind of helps me out because now I can open up the h-file. And so I have a plan of just getting the queen over here to the h-file and mating. So he took with the f-pawn. It's probably a good idea because if this bishop were out of the way, then he can put the queen or the rook on this second rank here, or seventh rank, and defend that way. So I played bishop to h6, just getting in here immediately. We're doing okay. He plays a6, queen d2. Just trying to figure out how to get my queen in here. Maybe get the knight out first and then the queen. b5 he played. And I think his counterplay here is too weak. It says, though, I should play c5 and close it off. So this is another one of those judgment calls. Do you want to keep things closed over here and waste a few moves, or do you want to proceed with the attack and let things open up? So this maybe is not the most precise way to play, but still leaves me with a pretty good attack. And I get the queen out. So that was part of the idea with this maneuver. Get the queen to some position where it can join in to the attack. I'd really like to get to this square so I can double up on the h-file. So maybe knight here to block the queen and then queen over here. So he played queen e7. Let's back up. He played queen e7 with this sideways defense of the h-pawn. That's the idea. Knight g5, piling up on h7. And now he went ahead and took over here. The engine is saying h6 immediately as a way to chase my knight away and maybe defend. Okay, but after thinking about it a while, h6 is not really holding. Yeah, h6 and bishop takes g6 is a pretty good line here. H takes g5 and queen h2, threatening mate here. Bishop g7, and now queen h7 check. Yeah, it looks like I'm invading, and all the time, if I need to grab material, I have this rook hanging here. King to f8, and queen back to h5. Bishop takes e8 is also possible. Anyway, so the attack would continue along those lines with the immediate g6. He comes up with this idea a little bit later, but he takes first over here. So I took back. He takes. And now queen to h4. Already rook takes h7 is crashing through. So after rook takes h7, he can't take back with the queen or the king. Well, queen takes h7 is one of the moves here, but it looks like that's losing. Bishop g7 to defend the queen, and then bishop takes g6. Yeah, all my pieces are crashing in, so that's really strong. I put my queen on the h-file first, so not the best way to proceed, but still in good shape. He plays h6, and now I've got this bishop takes g6 idea we saw in the previous one. Queen takes g5 is possible. Queen takes knight here. Yeah, protected by the pawn. I think I noticed that during the game. He ran away with the queen, but let's take a look at this. This is clearly the best defense. He takes the knight with his queen, relying on the fact that his pawn here momentarily is defending it. I grab the rook here. So I get a whole rook. So what's this? 2 rooks and a knight and a bishop against 1 rook. Yeah, so I'm up the exchange and I'm attacking. And bishop to b4. So queen to h3. Or queen takes g5 check. Let's play this way. Take with check, h takes g5, and then king d2 defending the knight. Yeah, I had to do that with check because my knight was hanging. So yeah, I've reached a position where I'm the exchange up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Yeah, I have the same number of pawns. His pawn structure is a wreck, and my pieces are in good positions to continue to attack. So clearly winning for white, even with the best defense. So he didn't play the best defense. He tried to stir up some trouble on the king side, and now I paused to defend the knight. Looks like bishop to f7 check. Just wins on the spot. So yeah, that's pretty dangerous. He can't take the bishop, and the king is running short of moves. Okay. So, but I played this defensive move because this piece was going to go with check, and I didn't have to worry about that. Still winning. He plays rook e7, getting a piece on the 7th rank. Knight to e4. Okay, rerouting the knight to come into one of these squares. Knight b6. And knight f6 check. Crashing in. King h8. And yeah, already there's a mate in 5, starting with queen g5. So I didn't quite do that, but I did queen f4, going after this square here and this pawn. I can take this with the rook maybe. So he can defend with rook h7, but instead he played knight d5, attacking my queen. But now rook takes. E is a mate in 3. So the king. He resigned at this point, but the king can go to g7. Oh, we get bishop takes. Let's take a look at that. Bishop takes, queen takes, and then the only way to stop the mate is to interpose the rook. So that's no good. So he can't take the rook, and if he plays rook h7, this is an immediate mate, because notice the knight is guarding that square, so just the rook defended by the bishop is enough to checkmate him. And cute mate. And so what else can he try here? King g7. This is the line I was a little bit worried about. And there's a very nice finish here. You play rook h7 check. And now the rook is guarding all of these squares. And the knight is guarding that square. So the king only has one move. King takes g6. And I was worried it might be escaping here. But queen to g4 is checkmate. Because, well, the queen's guarding all of these squares. the knight's still defending the rook, so the king can't take there, and the rook is guarding all of the escape squares here. So a nice little box for the king, and of course the pawn is protecting the knight. So we've got actually the pawn, knight, queen, and rook coordinating to deliver the mate to a king sitting all by itself. Okay, so let's back up, show how the game ended. It's just a cute mate there. After rook takes h6 check, he resigned. So kind of a nice game, a good example of an attacking game. Not always the most precise moves, but good enough to keep the edge and deliver the correct result at the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.